403, 405, and 411 Summer Street, currently zone R2, proposed R1.
I'll speak to this one, Chairman. This is actually at the initiative of the city. If you'll remember, some time ago, we had some residents on Lancaster who came forward who wanted to rezone from multifamily to R1 to protect their homes. And that is the exact same courtesy we've extended to the homeowners on Summit Street. So I believe we have a large number of the homeowners here, and they have requested to go from R2 to R1 to protect their homes. It does not affect the other owners who are not participating, but as you can see, it is a large number of homes right there on Summit that want to remain R1. So the city has extended that courtesy, so I, in fact, am representing them in this application.
Okay, so again, this is just a mirror of what went on Lancaster Avenue.
It is, yes, sir.
Okay. You have any questions on that?
If anybody wants to make some comments.
If it is open, this is a public hearing, so if it's anyone that would like to comment that's for it, or anyone that's comment might have something against it, you feel free to come to the podium and give your name, please.
Okay.
If not,
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the zone map amendment for properties 235, 251, 301, 305, 401, 403, 405, and 411 at Summit Street. The current zone is R2, and it's going to be proposed zone R1, and then we approve findings of fact.
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Shu,
Yes.
Commissioner Francis,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miles,
Yes.
Commissioner Estelle.
yes.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is the zone map amendment for DCW Investments LLC, property located at 509 North 3rd Street and 235 Broadway Avenue, currently zone B1, proposed zone 1I1. And this is also a public hearing, so if we had any comments on it, feel free after he gives his report on it.
Thank you all very much for your time. Mr. Stone, if you can highlight the area
Sure.
itself. These are the old tobacco warehouses. They've been used for an industrial purpose far before my memory. Oddly, this was zoned differently. To the north, you see the other tobacco warehouses, the old Phil's building. This warehouse within itself was actually zoned differently. And then actually where he has his cursor on is a separate track. It's also zoned differently and is a part of the application. We simply ask it be zoned I1. They've already commissioned demolition activities. We ask it be zoned I1 along with to match the other tobacco warehouse. And if you can see, there's a little walkway between between the streets there. I was quite surprised that it wasn't zoned I1 in the beginning. It's been used within my proposed findings and justification. You'll note that it's been used by Habitat for Humanity along with other industrial uses. They have rented that space up until the destruction of it. I don't know, I'm sure you all went out there. They've started to tear it down. We're just cleaning up some formalities at this point. To the north, it's all bound. There's over, I think it was 9.3 acres, or 8.3 acres to the north, all zoned I2. To the other side, the only residential uses are to the south side, which you can actually see on the map as it's shown. And then because that's the small port where the carport used to be, that's a very small track, it does abrupt the church that was there. Other than that, those are the only uses. We're just trying to clean something up, and I'm happy to answer any questions. My client's here, and he's very happy to testify and answer any questions in which you all may have. It's been a warehouse, and I think it's been used inappropriately due to the zone as a warehouse. However, I'm sure that it's been grandfathered in and nobody's objected to its use over the last 20-some years that I'm aware of. Prior to that, I don't know, but it was the tobacco warehouse at one point. Since then, it has been only used for industrial usage. I don't believe that there's traffic. Your comprehensive plan directs that industrial uses be centered around rail yards. Of course, across the street, we do have the rail yards. Within my justification, you'll see differences in the growth of Madison County, which I don't think I need to really highlight. However, it's there, it's justified. I think it's I-1. And I'm happy to call my client. Mr. Curry is here. He's happy to testify if you all wish. And I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Got any questions? Is it anyone in the audience that speak for or speak against it? Come up. Your name, please.
My name's James Baker. I own the property adjacent to the lot, right on the corner of Broadway, I guess, and Third. And I've owned it for a number of years. I just came by there. I live out of town, by the way. And they've left a lot of concrete block in the back of my property there, the existing old building that was there. I'm glad to see the new building up there. I didn't know they were putting one there, but I know now. But I'm interested in knowing what the use is for that building, or uses, as well as the little corner there that they highlighted just a few minutes ago. That's about all. I'm not opposed to the zone change.
Okay. You can answer that question for him.
Mr. Baker, thank you very much. Mr. Baker, this is Mr. Curry. I think it's best if the property owner answers these questions. If you all want to swear him in. Mr. Chairman, do we need to swear him in?
No.
Okay.
No.
That project, I apologize about the block left in the back.
Mr. Baker.
Yes, in his backyard there. That project has been a huge mess the entire time. There was so much reclaimed lumber in it. Took forever to get it all cleaned up, and we're actually going to work on it later this week to get all of the rest of the mess and concrete block and that kind of stuff cleaned up. It's just been it's been a really big job.
And if you may also answer, what are we going to do? It's going to be a warehouse, is that correct?
It's going to be warehouse space. We've just got it for sale or for lease right now, so we have no idea who might come in and purchase or lease it. So as far as giving any direction on who it might be, don't have any idea, but its intended use is just to be warehouse space like it has been previously.
Prior to your ownership, it was leased by the prior owners, right?
Yes.
Prior owners leased it. One of those would be Habitat for Humanity, correct?
Correct.
Other construction companies leased it as well, just for storage.
Right.
It's
Home
adjacent
lumber.
to the rail yard.
Right. Home lumber used it for years to store doors and windows and that kind of stuff in, and that's what the use is planned to stay as.
Is there anyone else? You can come up to the mic, please.
State my name.
Yeah, your name, please.
Davita Baker. We own the house next door to the other fellow that came up here. We're no kin, even though his last name's Baker too, but
Yes.
we're not kin to him. We own the house right next door to that. And I just wondered, because it looks like there's like an alleyway from where the new building is to where the houses sit. There's an alleyway there, and I wondered, is that a road or just maybe a setback for that building, or, you know, we wondered about that. And then too, when they were doing the destruction, we had a storage building on our lot there, and they moved that building over on our neighbor's lot, and it's still there, and nobody's ever moved it back. So we'd like to get our storage building back. I don't know if this is the place to discuss that, but I didn't know where else to go either. But You know, so I don't know if, I would like to get my storage building back from my neighbor. And so if you could, I wondered what that alleyway was. And then for light industrial, I just was curious, what kind of work could that be? Like a manufacturing or just making things? Or would it be machinery running in there? Or, you know, kind of a clarification on that.
Okay. Corey?
Different Baker though.
That's right, yes.
Addressing first the alleyway, I think that's where the initial building was, and there's concrete poured. It's within my client's property boundary. And Mr. Frazier can address this. I don't believe there's anything dedicated to the city. There's no actual roadway, passageway, any of the formal proper nouns that would dedicate anything to the city. It's just my property, or my client's property boundaries. That's all. And, you know, right now our intention is to use it for what it's been used for a very long time. And it's been storage. Of course, if it's zoned I-1 usages are appropriate, which the comprehensive plan does dictate that this road is appropriate due to its proximity to the rail and other I-1 zones that it's used for. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's impossible. That'd be a lie. However, right now it's been storage, and we intended to lease it to other people for storage. You know, the lumber yard's right across the street. We want to make sure that if in an event that they wish to lease under the new roof that we built, because that building was dilapidated, it was rough, that we're doing it in the proper manner. And that's, I mean.
She had a question on the storage building.
If
Maybe
you
he can
may,
a-
Ms.
he-
Baker,
maybe
yeah,
he
if you
can
want to come
answer
up. Yeah, if you want to answer that, because I'm unaware of that.
Whenever that building was built so close to the property line that we were scared that we would knock that wall over and it land on that building and damage the building. So we actually spoke to a gentleman that lives in that house, a tenant, and we asked him, and he said we're more than, that we could move it. And we moved it, and we just haven't moved it back yet because we were afraid that we would damage it with equipment running in and out and, you know, moving big pieces of metal and that kind of stuff. But we will move it back just as soon as.
It's not your building, right?
No, it's their building.
It's their building.
It's their building. I didn't realize it was a tenant. I thought it was the homeowner. So but we will move it back. It's no
And
problem.
it's not, and the issue doesn't occur on your property, right?
No.
Okay, and so I don't think that would be a proper consideration as of this point. That's more reserved for a different scenario. Here, the property boundaries are what they are. They abut other I-1. We're in close proximity to the rail. The comprehensive plan identifies the need for more industrial areas. We ask that you allow us to continue to do what they've been doing there for longer than my relevance.
Yeah, I understand that about the building, but she was just concerned.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We know that it wasn't part of
If
that,
he-
but she just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure the building was back.
Yeah.
Is there any more questions? Does any commissioners have any questions?
Just have a few comments. To answer the question about the alleyway, the boundary is reflected in Plat Book 1, if we all know our plat books. I reviewed that. There is no alleyway. So to answer that question, there is no access or anything going on. It's simply a boundary line. To discuss the two tracks that are in question, this is one that is being asked for the I-1. It meets the size. You must have 1 acre. There's no problem here. This is another standalone boundary. It's a tract by itself. It does not meet that 1 acre requirement. However, the solution, if the owners would consider this, would be that if we receive a consolidation plat that would take this tract and consolidate it with that, then this problem goes away and there would be no problem with the zone.
So consolidated with that warehouse?
That would be it. if you allow this piece, if you vote on this piece and your thought process is to agree to this becoming an I-1, you essentially would be creating a non-conforming zone. So the solution is to just simply consolidate this lot. It's certainly, it's used for that lot, correct? So I wouldn't perceive any problem, but if you consolidate this tract with that one, there is no problem, and the zone would be conforming.
Well, who owns that tract?
They do.
They do.
Oh, you own that also?
They're asking for I-1 for 2 tracks.
Okay.
And one of those tracks is this one.
It's
just-
it's always been an awning, right?
Yeah, it's been utilized for the use of this warehouse. Sort of part of it.
RPD's parked underneath that awning for the last 10
Well,
years.
it's a great
while-
place to get out of the rain.
They just hang out there. That's what it's been used for, in my memory.
But the question is,
Well, would it be proper if I requested a waiver? To make a consolidation plat, it's just him spending money to have that done. I would ask for a waiver of that and have it zoned. However, if that's necessary, and if you say it's necessary, please and thank you. But if you would save my client, $1,500 for a consolidation plat, I'd appreciate that too.
well, that would be for this board's consideration. I would just merely make note for you guys to know that that tract is not large enough to be I-1. And it's a standalone tract. It's not part of anything else. It's too small.
And if there were conditions that it could never be changed separate from the big tract,
Or the condition can be written that that use has to coincide with the larger use, hand in hand.
If language,
Yeah.
if language permitted, yeah.
we'll consolidate it if that's what it takes.
What's the
But
name of that tract?
we're talking about just
A name?
spending money to
Of the
do
tract.
so.
When you're going to consolidate, you have to
I
have two. Is there a name for that tract?
That offers nothing.
It would just be a
Just a
minor
part of it.
consolidation of 2 properties into one.
Okay.
If you want us to do so, we will. I ask that we don't spend the money to do so and ask for a variance on it.
Well, I know for a fact that Habitat did use it there for their purpose, to consolidate when it wasn't the weather, when they couldn't get out. They used that area, awning and underneath there, to do some work under there. I know that for a fact.
Sir. But we'll do what you want, this isn't a knockdown. You tell us we need to do it, we'll do it. Otherwise, if you're willing to allow us to have a variance on it and consider it all as part of one and give whatever conditions to make sure that they're tied together forever, nobody wants the awning track. It's somewhat worthless, however, it is connected to something that is valuable.
Tyler, if it was written up as same usage, would it fit within that requirement then?
We could work on some kind of restrictive language. I would say it's certainly cleaner to consolidate.
It is cleaner. I would agree with him, but it's going to cost my client money, and I'm here to save him money if I can. So cleaner, yes. I would say practically, who wants the awning, right, without the big track? And we're willing to tie them two together with whatever terms that you all wish. If you all are willing to do so, thank you. If not, I understand.
Well, it's just the way it needs to be done. I mean, legal, how you would do it.
We can do it by tying them together.
10 years from now and say, oh, you didn't do this right because you didn't do this.
And that's why you can put the conditions on it, right? Because nobody's going to want it with those conditions, right?
Well, I mean, you got 2 separate pieces of conditions right there, so I
I
mean,
think ultimately, how many tracks were it originally?
To my recollection, I think that the area that was lit up in blue, including the area with the awning, it was originally like 4 or 5 different tracks, and over the years, they kept adding on to that building, expanding it over the original property lines. So to my knowledge, if I'm remembering correctly, it was 4 or 5 different tracks to begin with.
And if you look just to the immediate right of the blue, Mr. Stone, can you click on that and show the ownership? That's also a part Who does that say it's owned by? I can't see that far. It doesn't.
The Luxus.
That's part of the Luxon's property, which we all come back to the tobacco warehouse. So all of that was owned at one point in time. However, you tell us to do something, we'll do it.
Do we need two separate proposals? The first one to just merge those two to save them, and then the second to approve the,
I think that'd be, I can't answer that, would be Mr. Frazier.
It would be approving the zone change contingent upon a consolidation plat.
Or, Mr. Frazier, am I correct? If they want to allow without the consolidation,
no, just
You would just be approving the zone change contingent upon working through some kind of restrictions
we
to be
can work that
filed.
out. That's fine.
okay.
So we can make one motion consolidating those two.
Yes, you can approve the zone change contingent upon a consolidation plat.
Okay.
Does that spare him from having to, is that good?
I don't want to speak over you, Mr. Frazier.
That seems to be a question for you. Spare him.
Yeah, the 1,500.
It's going to cost money to do a consolidation. I would ask upon, Mr. Frazier's, approval and agreement, if there would be a motion made to approve the zoning of both contingent upon those conditions that either track have to be together, right? Absent the consolidation plat, I think that would probably suffice if Mr. Frazier would agree.
We could figure something out. It's just a far cleaner route to consolidate it. That's all I really
I
can
agree.
say.
It is cleaner. However, it's still money. And we're not talking about a big track, so it's to your all's
Well,
wishes.
Can I get a
We're tickled
motion?
to death.
Can I get a motion on this?
Yeah, I can make a motion. Yeah, let's approve the zone map amendment for DCW Investments at LLC, with two properties located at 409 in 3rd Street and 235 Broadway Avenue. And the current zone of these is B1, and we want to go to a proposed zone of I1. So basically, it's a consolidation of the properties under one zone and approval of findings of fact.
So that is consolidating the two properties.
And consolidate.
Yes.
With, just so that the minutes are clear, with a consolidation plat to make it one piece of property.
Consolidation into one piece of property, yes.
Okay. Okay.
I'll second it.
Okay. Commissioner Shu,
Yes.
Commissioner Francis, Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Miles,
Yes.
Commissioner Sell.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you. Next on the agenda, the zone map amendment for Ramsey's Development Projects LLC, property located at 1115 Goggins Lane, current zone AG, proposed zone PUD.
Good evening. We'll only have a couple slides, so it'll work. Nick Nicholson here on behalf of the the Ramsey family, which owns the project that is kind of known as the farms at Barnes Mill. Tracy Blevins and Stuart Spencer are also here on behalf of the Ramsey family, and Amy McConnell and Brenda Legg are also here on behalf of Fuquay Development, who is going to be the larger commercial developer that you have kind of heard about in kind of recent months, that was coming online in order to develop a major portion of the kind of commercial space. And it includes the commercial acreage that we are here to talk about today. If you could hit that slide. First, I do want to say I promise I will not take nearly as much time as I have in the past. We have spent enough time in this room and on Zoom and over at EKU talking about this development, so I will be very quick, I assure you. But this was the original concept plan that was developed for this site, and the kind of yellow circle is the acreage that we are talking about here today. This parcel, if those that were on the commission recall, this was going to be for a large church. In the PUD ordinance, it doesn't really specify that churches are allowable uses. As it kind of explains the PUD, it certainly makes sense that a church should be part of it, but in the kind of the allowable uses matrix, for some reason there isn't a check for churches to be allowed in the PUD. It actually doesn't even list PUD as a zone that exists in Richmond when it talks about this kind of subset of uses. And so out of an abundance of caution, since we thought that they were about to kind of take that property down, we left it as ag to make it clear to any title company that a church would certainly be allowed to go there. But as you can see in the original concept, it already was basically kind of a outlot to the main kind of commercial development that was shown. If you could go to that next slide. And so this is kind of a look at what is going to be the revised concept plan that will be brought back. But I wanted to show you kind of the overhead so you could see kind of where this kind of falls in relation to the church or the school that is currently under construction. If you could go to the next site. And this is basically what will be coming back. It just basically takes that 6 acres and makes it very clear that this is a commercial kind of property. It's not an agricultural kind of zone property. I will not kind of go into the full justification with regards to compliance with the comprehensive plan. It's what we've talked about on this site, for a substantial amount of time, but also your all's comprehensive plan has changed, and the future land use map does specify that this property should be zoned for mixed use. For the record, I do want to kind of, just point out that the other possible justification for a zone change, I think, is very, very applicable here under KRS, and that is that this acreage standalone is not appropriate to be an agricultural tract in and of itself. It's about to be entirely surrounded by commercial developments, by the school, and it's right, obviously, across the street from a commercial development. And so the likelihood of actual agricultural activity occurring on this property as this development comes online is just nil. And so we would certainly say that keeping this agricultural is inappropriate, and our proposed zoning of the PUD to make it in compliance with the rest of the development is in fact appropriate. Yes?
Yeah, sorry, that was me, Nick. And just for clarity, the yellow is the only thing that's the zone change.
Correct.
So everything else that you see is not, it's just the yellow.
And the key reason that we had to basically be here is that the area that we are showing there with the proposed grocer and the out parcels, that is what Fuquay is going to be taking down if this zone change basically goes through. It will still require plans to come back to you all in order to kind of approve the right layouts, the right scopes, and everything that you all normally go through with regards to a development. This just allows everything to be zoned one zone and essentially keep moving the ball forward so we can start the commercial construction. I'm happy to answer any questions. I do want to kind of to end on just not necessarily a preview, but more of, the desire of the Ramsey family still remains that we have some type of church use inside of this community. We think it's very important to have a church inside of here to be able to create a kind of the walkable community that we've always kind of said that this will be. We think that it should be allowed in the PUD, but we're going to work with staff, work with the city in order to make sure that everybody's kind of clear that a church could be part of a plan unit development at some point. Just a little preview.
This has kind of been crickets. I haven't heard anything going on with this thing for quite a while. And you said something about that we kind of have been kept up with some of this stuff. Can I ask what is the proposed use for this? I mean, what's going to be here?
So this is an anchor for a proposed grocer that is going to be here. And so that is going to be the key anchor that is will kind of drive the traffic. And I guess what I was referring to is the phasing plans that had been kind of brought before here with regards to, we knew that the kind of layout was going to change based on this commercial developer coming in, and we finally got to the point where that's going to occur.
Well, thank you.
Why was it not initially zoned?
It was because the church use is not actually listed in the PUD ordinance as an allowable use. And so since we knew a church was coming there, we kind of out of an abundance of caution just left it as ag because it wasn't clear in the PUD ordinance that a church could occur.
But now a church is not coming.
That is right. We think that they kind of walked, if you all remember, this was in the midst of COVID, and the church is no longer kind of interested in an expansion.
But this was always their property, right?
Oh, yes, this was the
always
Ramsey
in
property all along.
Okay.
It was just, we knew that they had specifically called that parcel out. They wanted that parcel. We thought it was going to be a great anchor for this development to bring them in, and unfortunately, that kind of fell apart through COVID. But that's the only reason why it wasn't zoned PUD originally. Had the ordinance kind of just said churches were allowed, then we would have zoned the whole thing PUD.
So basically, you're moving the box store grocer from up there down to the,
Yeah, so the original kind of anchor, or I guess the box was kind of turned a little bit sideways and a little bit north. And so we're just kind of realigning that in order to create a kind of, I think it's 17 acres, is that right? A basically 17-acre commercial development that they are going to kind of take down and develop.
So another grocery store right across from Myers?
This would be a proposed grocery, yes.
Is there anyone in the ordinance that has anything to say? Kevin,
To point out, typically this tract is standalone. If one would look at this under a microscope, it would be that it's not large enough to be a PUD, but I would highly recommend that it is considered as part of an overall concept, and that I would have no objection for it being included into the plat.
And we do not have to file a consolidation plat. It is one parcel. For the record, I do want to submit the kind of proposed findings we had submitted and the verification of notice in the affidavits, just for the record.
Thanks, Nick.
this is not really a final plat approval.
No.
It's really a change in the plat.
It is not infecting any of the plats whatsoever. This is just to allow this zoning to basically have the entire thing PUD. We will still have to bring back plats for you all. We will still have to bring back plans so you all can kind of, ask any questions about if you don't like the parking design or anything like that.
Yeah.
This is just to allow for this to be commercial.
you have any more questions?
What's to the left of that? I wasn't in here when this was being developed, I'm just curious.
So this is the kind of area in question. So if you will, there's, Barnes Mill at the bottom of the picture, Goggins on the right. And so mine doesn't show up there.
Try that one. Anything?
I just chose a bad color, I think.
Either way.
But so it is basically commercial just to the south. There's a retention basin just to the north. The school is also to the north, and it's entirely surrounded by commercial activity. Here, I just don't have any luck.
I don't know. Either way.
And so this already was essentially a commercial out parcel. It was just going to have a church use.
Two exits. Get one in Marks Mill and get one.
They do have.
But you're still kind of, like you said, that hopefully you may get a church at some of it.
Yes, we just think it's going to be located in a different location, more likely closer to kind of the residential areas in order to kind of encourage that walkability. We just need to work with the city to figure out how exactly that works. Truly, if you look at the list of allowable uses, the kind of section that talks about PUDs, industrial and commercial, it's just not listed in the kind of the public sector categories that churches are located. And I think it just got left off.
Any more questions? I get a motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the zone map amendment for Ramsey Development Project LLC, property located at 1115 Goggins Lane, current zone ag, proposed zone PUD.
I'll second that.
Sorry, that was Mr. Francis?
Sir.
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Shu,
Yes.
Commissioner Francis.
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins.
Yes.
Commissioner Miles.
Yes.
Commissioner Estelle.
Yes,
Thanks very much.
thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Next on the agenda is the final credit approval for A1 of the Farms of Barnes Mill. Spencer.
Good evening. Stuart Spencer with Spencer Land Surveying.
Would you like back?
And we are here this evening, exciting evening. We're asking for approval of our first final plat at the Farms at Barnes Mill. We've gotten Cattleman's Loop, the first road, which runs next to the new middle school, is built. And the detention areas and pond there next to that are included in track C and D. I believe we've met all the requirements the city has asked us for, and we're asking for approval of the final plat tonight.
Kevin, is this,
Cattleman's Loop, as Mr. Spencer have described, has met all field inspections. Haven't got that letter of credit just for Phase 1A. But if we entertain a motion to approve, I would recommend, based on staff approval, just so we can receive the O&Ms for the detention areas and the letter of credit, that would ensure final coat of blacktop, sidewalks, standard business kind of thing, signatures, simple stuff. We do have a second letter of credit that is somewhat attached to Phase 1A. Could we bring that other drawing up?
Which one? The
one
grocer?
that Nick had, that would be the second one, or,
No, because Nick has it. Nick took it.
oh,
I can in a minute. Thank you, sir. Yeah. Well,
This is actually for the farmers in Barnesville. This is over on the but we just were looking. It's a phase one. Phase one is just
I was thinking about it, Kev.
that one part. I think that's what they're going to show us here.
There we go. That one?
right there.
Okay.
Okay, so Phase 1A is this section of Cattleman's Loop up to a portion of that roundabout. That is Phase 1A, in which Mr. Spencer is seeking final plat for tonight. Physically, we're good to go in the field. Everything looks fine, based on staff approval, which would include signatures, O&M, letter of credit, everyday kind of stuff for staff to deal with. We're fine. In the past, there was some changes in the phasing, if you can recall, those of you that might have been here. This section of the road and down was part of Phase 1. So when a request to minimize what they needed to construct, they diminished that down to what is known as Phase 1A, which is what we're here for tonight. And a letter of credit was to be posted for the construction of this section of the road, which this was very important for the commission to have that other entrance to be somewhat guaranteed. Okay? So Nick here tonight gave you a glimpse of the future. So it would be fair, and Stuart, correct me, I don't want to take anybody's words from them, but in order to approve Phase 1A, we need to come to a conclusion on whether or not we dismiss or take some other action of that road to be installed. Now, the new proposal is quite honestly what it is. It is a proposal. We haven't received anything, and by no means I wouldn't think it wouldn't happen, but there will be an amount of time that we would have no guarantee that these portions of the road are covered under Phase 1, the entirety of Phase 1. So if this commission feels it appropriate, I believe Mr. Spencer and his team would be asking relief of that particular letter of credit that would ensure this section, which is apt to change, okay? We've all kind of seen Nick's presentation, would be apt to change, but we need to do something with that letter of credit to clean that up. If not, we will have some minutes, an approved minutes that state we have to have that letter of credit. So this body would have to decide whether or not to relinquish that need for it based upon the new proposed development, which would be that.
I think, to back up your words, if I may, the discussion in the last meeting, we went back and watched the prior meeting to make sure we were clear on what the discussion was. I believe it was left open-ended that the commission may want to require a letter of credit for Vermeer Way at this time when we're bringing this final plat forward. At that time, we couldn't present anything on this plan. It was in the early works. When the original plan was done, the church was proposed. The roads were laid out in such a way based on that church out parcel being there. With that off the table and the approved zone change tonight, Vermeer Way will never be built as it was originally proposed. Even if this site plan were not the one that were done, that was all designed around that church parcel, so that's never going to happen. So the interconnectivity will still happen, absolutely, but it's not going to happen in that way. So we would ask for relief from the letter of credit for Vermeer Way. Obviously, we're putting up the letter of credit on everything we're asking for approval on. And further in that, anything else we do to be developed will come before this body for you guys to approve. So we can't take off and just go start developing residential in the back of this property and leave only this one entrance at Cattleman's, because you're going to have to approve that. So at that point, you'll obviously hold our feet to the fire and say, oh, no, we need this other connection. We fully anticipate that it's going to happen with this development. That's going to be the next thing that you see.
Could you go back to that other, the one you just come off of? Now, wasn't it supposed to be 2 rows to come off of there at the beginning?
Yes.
When this first
From the
come up?
original preliminary, yes.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but that was really the selling point to this whole thing. There's 2 roads on Goggins. There was supposed to be 2 entrances on Goggins.
At this point now, there's going to be 3.
3 on there
There's
now?
actually going to be 3, yes.
Okay.
So you're deleting, are we getting rid of a road?
No, we are not getting rid of a road. It is not going to be built and dedicated as public infrastructure as it was shown on the original plan. It will be part of the grocer's site. It will still be a connecting road through the site. And then we're actually adding one additional entrance onto Goggins Lane.
Turns on to Goggins.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the entrance is there in the yellow area. That's the 3rd entrance that's being added. That entrance actually lines up with the Meyer entrance, the main entrance into Richmond Center there on Goggins Lane.
Okay. The one up to the top, down the bottom, be down.
Not the one at the top, the
Down the
one
bottom.
further down, yeah,
Yeah.
that's closer to the school.
Which one we're talking about that we're not going to be, that will never be utilized?
So Vermeer Way,
Somebody needs to mark that or.
Vermeer Way actually cut straight across and down.
So the Vermeer Way was originally going across the top of this yellow, tying in right here.
Gotcha.
And with the new plan, we're actually sliding this road over, and that's actually Farms Boulevard, which will be the 2nd public street. And then the 3rd access is what Stuart's describing going into the Richmond Center. So originally it was this one, Calvin's by the school.
Right.
The second one here. Now we got 1, 2, and then the third access road.
Okay.
But that makes sense.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.
Good job, Brad.
Let's see.
So that would happen with the development that they're going to put in.
Yes.
Any more questions? I get a motion? Huh?
Is anybody out here?
Not for this.
Okay.
What are those names you want, the roads that you want for the letters of credit? We should specify that, I think.
Yeah, if you just make a motion to approve based on staff approval, Stuart and I can clean up the little requirements for Phase 1A. Not a problem.
I make a motion for final plan approval of Phase 1A of the farms at Barnes Mill
I'll second.
Based on staff approval.
on step approval.
Okay. And Commissioner Perkins, you were the second, correct? Okay. Commissioner Shu?
Yes.
Commissioner Francis?
Yes.
Commissioner Short?
Yes.
Commissioner Miller?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins?
Yes.
Commissioner Miles?
Yes.
Commissioner Estelle?
Yes.
Thanks, Emma.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is Director's Report.
Not much today. We're sort of pushing forward with our new department. Things are beginning to really take shape. Warp speed always comes to mind, and that's the way I like things. Commissioner Miller, we are certainly ready for some work sessions. I think we just need to sharpen the pencil and say kick off. We do have some clients that's trying to renegotiate the Hampton Way project that took place some time ago. They would like to come in and sit down and actually have a discussion. So they would probably most likely be our first work session if I were to predict the future.
That would be a good idea, really.
Yeah.
What about these properties that haven't been completed yet? Remember have you had a chance to do anything on that yet?
We actually have one that is completed, and it was a tough one, but they did complete it. That's Laney Brook, and it will be coming off the list, and we'll be releasing those letter of credits. There was a slowdown, Commissioner Miller, due to the changing of the guard, if you will, but again, we're starting to take shape very quickly, and that's already on my mind. We'll jump back on those and get back on track with them.
I know you were concerned about that, so.
I had dealt with that issue when I was in the field all the time. So this has been going on ever since I've been with the city. So I can assure you I'll be very excited to follow up on those and see my punch lists from 9-10 years ago actually completed.
That would be nice.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Any other business? If not, I'd ask for adjournment.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Thanks very much.
Thank you all.